Welcome to my talk on rudderless sailing for high performance. I guess it's been my pet thing for a number of years, but I've never done tacking for anybody, especially at an our dinghy show before. So I thought tacking would be an interesting one to investigate, especially when you can slow you down so much by using the wrong trim, the wrong balance in a roll tack. I'm going to demonstrate the science behind the glide and how useful it can be to get you the most out of your tack. A lot of people I see trying to put the helm over so quickly that they've wasted a whole bit of the tack, and they spend their time jumping to windward and pushing the rudder really hard, which kind of the boat wants to bear away because the boat's heeling to windward. And both sails are filling, so the boat doesn't want to do anything but accelerate and go in the direction it was going in before, and the rudder just wants to stop the boat anyway. And there is a whole bit that's missing that you need to try and encourage the boat to go round head to wind before you do any jumps. So I want to show you the technology behind it. So I'm going to share you a whiteboard. So I'm going to try and explain it to you. So if the wind is coming down this whiteboard, on the left over here, I'll draw you, if I can, the vectors of a tack, the vectors of the speed on port and starboard. Okay, both about the same speed on both tacks. But if you are clever enough to be able to use the same length vector and aim at head to wind, you'd be 1.4 times faster going towards the windward mark than if you were on port or starboard. So what's the rush in putting your helm over? Don't rush it, because if you can let it glide towards head to wind and you can keep the speed on nicely, you're cheating the little guy in his coach boat who doesn't want you to gain out of the tack. Well, you're going to lose a bit anyway at the very end of it, but you can cheat it by just gliding it to head to wind. Don't rush it. So if you use this idea that you want to try and find ways to get the boat to go towards head to wind without losing speed, there are a few tricks. Let's have a look at our boat on the tack. It's going to go in that direction if it carried on in a straight line, okay? And for argument's sake, we'll make it a two-sail boat, okay? Now, if it starts a nice glidey sort of tack, it should follow this path. It should take about 3 or 4 boat lengths before it's actually achieved head to wind. And if it does that, it gains all this much wind on its jib. That's the wind that the front of the boat will be experiencing, the front of the pivot point. The jib is the collector, and it's grabbing all this extra breeze, okay? But even the mainsail's grabbing this breeze too. So how can we encourage it to want to go all the way up there without any effort with the rudder? Well, the first thing is you might start the whole process with your weight sort of on the edge of the boat. You may even have a crew down here balancing you out. And then as you go up a little bit further, the pressure in the sails is going to reduce a bit. You might have to slip yourself into the boat a little bit more. The crew might have to keep the sails to leeward a bit more. It may get towards head to wind, and the helmsman may have to almost be in the middle of the boat next to the crew. What you've been doing here is you've been moving your body weight gradually away from the center of an imaginary circle. Okay, you're gradually moving your weight away from this imaginary turning point. And what you're actually doing is you're building angular momentum, just like an ice dance. So with their hands wide apart, they're spinning. As soon as they start to bring their arms in, they start to speed up. And by gradually moving your body weight away from the center of the circle, gradually, you're building angular momentum. You're ready for the moment when you can bring your arms in and the boat can spin. Now, it also, of course, helps because the boat wants to go towards head to wind if the boat's not heeling to windward. If it's heeling to leeward slightly and the main's slightly over trimmed, then the boat will start to want to plod its way towards head to wind. Okay, so at this point here, the jib has been filling, and at this point here, the jib has been filling. At point A and point B, the jib's been filling, but at point C, suddenly the jib folds. And when the jib folds at point C, then it's time to reduce the angular momentum by moving your body weight, and maybe the crew's body weight too, back towards the center of the circle, and the boat will spin around you. You'll see the rudder have a big angle on it, but most of the time it literally just following the turn of the boat, and I can demonstrate that later by a video. But basically, as you pull your body weight to the center of the circle, the boat spins around you, and before you know it, you're almost straight away on another tack. And you are trying as a couple, if there's two of you, to make the pull-up as slow and as gradual as possible, especially in light winds, because if you pull the boat up right too quickly, all the wind will just not affect the boat at all. You've got to try and bring it up together. And of course, you'll experience apparent wind from the side you're pulling the boat up to. So you may want to ease the sails out, pull the sails back in again. So the theory is gradually let the boat trim itself and sail itself to head to wind. Move your body weight to the outside of the imaginary circle, the center of the turning point over here. And eventually you can reduce the angular momentum. When the jib finally folds, you have to be super patient. When the jib finally folds, you can reduce angular momentum and the boat will spin around you. And then you can collect yourself. We used to say 2 marching paces when I used to coach when I was in the Navy. Let the boat heel itself, and then you can, as the boat comes up, you can ease the sails out and pull the sails back in again. Okay. So in this clip of a scorpion tack, the boat is slowly tacking. Watch the shoreline move slowly. And in fact, the helmsman here is a bit lazy. You should move his body weight in a bit more now. And then when the jib has folded, now folded, so everybody can now move. It's really hard bit to do is to try and keep the crew calm and not move, and keep the helm calm and not move. But at this point now, the jib's folded. You can move your body weight quickly, the crew towards the windward side, the helm towards pulling on the windward side at the same time. In fact, in the Scorpion, it's quite nicely positioned because as you stand up, you can pull your body weight towards the side deck, so you pull the side deck to you effectively, and that tips the boat. And then the water is just about coming over the side deck in the Scorp, and then you need to just have the jibs now set nicely, so it's going to throw the wind at this mainsail, and the mainsail's been eased slightly to give you acceleration as the pull-up comes, and then the mainsail's pulled back in again. Nice gentle day. As I say, it's really, really hard not to slick the helm over too quickly, because if you do that, you stop the boat. Roll the boat too quickly to windward, and that will make the boat not want to go around the tack, and it all becomes a really big, hard fight to try and make the boat tack. So just let it glide, let it sail itself to head to wind, and then try and be patient not to jump too soon. Wait until the jib folds, and you can cross the boat. Right, now I'm going to try and find you a similar sort of tack in a single-hander. Here we go. So in the single-hander, the jib on a single-hander is this part of the sail and forwards. Everything in front of that is the jib. And so you treat that as the front part of the sail. Once that backs, you're allowed to move. So we'll have a go at playing the roll tack again. Well, not again, but for the first time. Here we go. So sailing slowly towards head to wind, and the helm is moving himself into the boat as much as he can. I am anyway, trying my hardest. And now it's the hardest bit in the world is to sit with your head as close to the boom as it can go as it's flapping. But it makes such a big difference at this stage now, because when the sail is backed as it has to the edge of the window now, you don't need much of a physical pump on the side deck to make the boat spin round. The other nice thing is, because the front part of the sail is now flapping, it's this part of the sail here that will be doing the driving when you heel to windward. So it's going to give yourself a huge impetus to go forwards. So that's the part of the sail that gives the impetus you need to make the tack. And again, in a laser, it's the hardest thing in the world because it's so naturally stable. You have to use all your might to pull the boat on top of you so that it heels enough to warrant the pull-up. And then you ease the sail and draw the sail back in on the way out of the pull-up. We'll play that again. Don't rush the first part. Let it sail, let it sail, let it sail. When it backs, you reduce the angular momentum, pop the side deck. That makes the leech work, and it takes the boat round to the new course. If you can, pull the boat towards you rather than you move across it. And you're on the way out of the tack. Right, and we're going to show you another video clip now of a backward facing tack. I perfected backward tack. No, I didn't perfect backward tacking. I learned it from a guy called Jyrki Tarmanin, who became the Europe World Champion, and he went against all his coaches, best intentions, and they wanted him to tack like everybody else does, and he said, no, I like this backward tack, and I like it for a number of reasons. He liked it because he could keep his weight further forward. He liked it because he could take his tiller extension round the back and not overuse the tiller extension, and that helped maximise the glide part of his tack. And he liked it because he could bend easier, keep his centre of gravity forward, because your centre of gravity is in your arms, not in your head necessarily, so you can get yourself back and make the tack. Anyway, I've used it to good effect in an RS300 and an Aero, and many boats where the ratchet block is close to the floor means you don't ever have to let go of the main sheet or the rudder. So let's have a look at this one, if I can share you the video. So here we go. Try and let the glide happen, pop. And full backwards tacks are fun. All you have to do is get your front leg over the main sheet, and you've finished it. And that's your backward tack. One more go. Front leg steps over the main sheet. Don't push the rudder. And then you've not let go of anything in a tack. Now I'm sure you're probably thinking, but I've just seen Steve use lots of rudder there. So I'm going to try and show you a tack in an RS300 where I'd actually broken the tiller extension. I broke the tiller extension because the boat that I borrowed for this little session here, when I share it for you, had no toe straps. I'd just come out of a jibe, tried to find my toe straps. I had toe straps, had no elastic on the toe straps, and so I went arse over tit. Anyway, so I was a bit wet, but I managed to tie the end of my main sheet to the end of the tiller, and that gave me enough control, because the 300's got a reasonable amount of weather helm, and it might even demonstrate that I don't push the rudder on the way into the tack. So here we go. So that in my hand is the piece of main sheet tied to the end of the tiller. I'm going to move my body weight in, draw the main sheet in. That small little lean backwards made all the difference to start this tack through. I'm on the new tack without really putting the tiller towards me or pushing it away from me even. And I can now accelerate, try and find those toe straps which eluded me earlier. And I'm sailing again. So I kind of believe that there's no pushing of this tiller. And if you can do that, then you've allowed the boat to do its glide without reducing any speed. Okay. The last video I want to show you is when the stress of racing takes over and you can't stop yourself from trying to tack too soon. So you have to try and keep your cool and not rush the tack. So here's a rush tack from me. Okay. Okay, I'm eager to get the tack in and I too quickly decide to move. So if you look at my jib, it's filling, it's filling, it's filling, it's filling, and I'm still moving my body weight towards the centre of the circle. And I'm now, haven't really gained much more angular momentum. I'm having to use a bit too much rudder, and the pull-up and the boat itself lets me get away with it. The jib pops in and then we pull the boat up right. At least the end was good because we don't move until that jib's in. But that was a stressy tack by Mr. C. So if you can try not to have a stressy tack in light winds, if you can try to let the glide happen, don't move until the jib folds. When the jib folds, you can both move onto the windward side of the boat and use that angular momentum you've built up to spin the boat around you, okay? And you'll make a much more effective tack. That is not how you do it. You can try and practice a bit more. I'll definitely certainly try and practice a bit more. Okay, enjoy your practicing. Hope you get on the water again soon. Bye for now. Don't forget, there's more free stuff on the Rooster blog with technique tips, all for free, videos. We've been doing them for the last 10, 15 years, and they're all there for free, even with boat maintenance tips. Interesting articles from our ambassadors. Latest boat maintenance tip was how to repair a gunnel on a laser, with videos and explanations. So don't be frightened to look up to see what we've got at Rooster, all for free to help you get back on the water. Enjoy.